Monday, November 4th, 1974. Now Lowell Thomas.
It's 7 o'clock. From Rome, from Patna, India, from the White House comes today's news. This is Lowell Thomas for CBS News, saying good evening, everybody. From the Pentagon, we hear that there will be an increase of our combat strength in Europe by 2 brigades. This in response to the growing strength of the Warsaw Pact nations. Defense Secretary Schlesinger adding that our NATO allies are also expected to increase their combat capabilities. On the eve of Election Day, we have an appeal from President Ford to all voters. By all means, get out and vote. This based on recent surveys indicating a voter turnout of only about 40%. If true, said the President, the Congress with which I must work in Washington to control inflation, strengthen the economy, preserve peace, could be elected by only 21% of the voters. That, he continued, is the kind of minority decision almost nobody wants. 2 cities in India, Patna and New Delhi, all but paralyzed today by general strikes. These at the urging of a group calling itself the People's Struggle Organization, a movement based on passive resistance, like in the days of Gandhi. They are demanding an end to official corruption and a government more responsive to popular demands. At the UN, a giant rally today attended by thousands of pro-Israeli demonstrators in protest against a scheduled UN appearance by delegates representing the Palestine Liberation Organization. Space experts presented the President today with a tiny indium antimonide crystal grown aboard the Skylab space station last January. The new crystal said to be immeasurable, the purest yet produced by man. U.S. Space Chief Dr. Fletcher saying the Skylab crystal could be the start of a new billion-dollar industry, one of the few things making sense about the cost of space flights. And now this message. Scientist published in London tells us that by the end of the century, we should be able to activate the so-called pleasure centers of the brain almost at will by means of electrical stimulus, so we can enjoy all the pleasures of eating without food, pleasures of drinking with nary a drop, and all the pleasures of love with never a heartache. Anyone for that? I'm not. This is Lowell Thomas for CBS News saying so long until tomorrow.
Tuesday, November 5th, 1974. Now Lowell Thomas.
It's 7 o'clock. From election headquarters, from Rome, and from Pasadena, Texas, comes today's news. Good evening, everybody. This is Lowell Thomas for CBS News. As you know, it's early for returns, but as we wonder how things are going, let's switch to my colleague, George Herman, at CBS News election headquarters.
The first victory of the evening has gone to Governor Wendell Ford of Kentucky, a Democrat who has defeated Senator Marlowe Cook, a Republican. That was more or less expected. The size of Ford's victory, somewhat unexpected. CBS News estimates the final figures will give Democrat Ford 56% of the vote, somewhat weaker than expected Democratic win in Kentucky's Senate race.
A government attorney who headed the earliest phases of Watergate today became its latest victim. Assistant Attorney General Henry Peterson, age 53, member of the Justice Department for 27 years, handing in his resignation effective at the end of the year, his career coming to a halt when it was learned he kept the White House informed on the progress of the Watergate investigation. Now he returns to private practice. U.S. Defense Secretary Schlesinger today told a group of German military writers at Munster that the West must keep pace with increases in communist military power. If not, said he, the result could be tragedy. The nation's big 4 automakers today disclosed a 27% drop in new car sales for October. On the other hand, the stock market was soaring today, with Dow Jones Industrials up over 17 points. In California, the former president now in sub-intensive care. The doctor saying he's physically weak, still in pain, adding they'd like to keep him in the hospital for another fortnight for further treatment. An aide to the former president says that he plans to get out much, much sooner. And how about some Hollywood trivia? Did you know that Marlene Dietrich has a bump on her nose skillfully concealed by makeup? That Claudette Colbert was photographed in close-ups only from her left side, the good one? Greta Garbo so ungainly she was almost never photographed running or even moving fast. All this in a new book called 50 Superstars from Crown Publishers. And now for CBS News, this is Lowell Thomas saying, so long until tomorrow.
Wednesday, November 6, 1974. Now Lowell Thomas.
From CBS. The time is 7 p.m.
From Riyadh, Arabia, from Buenos Aires, from Washington, comes today's news. Good evening, everybody. This is Lowell Thomas for CBS News. In the wake of yesterday's tidal wave, an attempt today to pick up some of the pieces, President Ford pledging to work wholeheartedly with the new Congress to solve the nation's number one problem, inflation. Spokesman Ron Nesson adding that the president will meet the Democrats halfway. The president said he is holding out a hand, saying, let's work together, because this problem is too important to play politics. The Democrats, savoring their greatest triumph in a decade, also looking ahead to 76, sparked mainly by the election of a host of new governors, including Hugh Carey of New York, Edmund Brown of California, Ella Grasso of Connecticut, the latter, by the way, already being hailed as one of the most powerful women in American politics, surely a force to conjure with 2 years from now. Now the latest, President Ford meeting with Senate Majority Leader Mike Mansfield, the two pledging to get together, work cooperatively. In Argentina, a new wave of guerrilla terrorism, including threats against teachers and school children in Buenos Aires. The Argentine government today declared a national state of siege, giving police the power to arrest and detain indefinitely almost anyone suspected of terrorist activity. Britain's Prince Charles, Prince of Wales, today became the first member of the British royal family ever to serve as a paid book reviewer. The prince getting about $100 from Punch to review a novel by Welsh comedian Harry Seacombe. The most entertaining of books, says the prince, adding that he was shaken with spasms of helpless mirth at frequent intervals. And now to wind up this brief interval for CBS News, this is Lowell Thomas saying so long until tomorrow.